What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I kind of got a quick video for you guys. I wanted to talk about Scottie Barnes and his rise in this 2021 NBA draft. He's risen up the rankings, a few spots, nothing too dramatic, but he's really improved his draft stock over the last year and risen above players, such as Jonathan Kuminga, who a year ago was, projected to be a top 3 pick, #1 player in his class before he reclassified for the G League. And now, could potentially slide to, possibly like pick 8, 9, somewhere in there. And so it's impressive to see what Scottie Barnes has done, how his game really translates to today's NBA. And the fall of someone like Jonathan Kuminga at kind of the expense of someone like Scottie Barnes, who maybe his game doesn't fit or hasn't developed the way, NBA scouts have, projected it to develop over the last year. And so kind of just wanted to get into that, why I like Scottie Barnes, why NBA GMs like Scottie Barnes, and maybe why someone like Kuminga has fallen here in the last year. So with that being said, let's get into it. So like I said in the intro, Scottie Barnes has, increased his draft stock here within the last year. And it's not by, a crazy amount in terms of where he was projected to get, picked. At the start of the year, he was in that 6 to 10 range, where now he could potentially be picked number 4 by the Raptors, and worst case scenario is looking like he could be picked at the number 5 spot, whether it's the Orlando Magic keeping their pick or someone like OKC trading up a spot to make sure that they get him. But it looks like, based on everything that I've heard, as far as podcasts, read online, articles, anything like that, Scottie Barnes has moved himself ahead of someone like Jonathan Kuminga. And I think there's, a number of reasons for that. Some of it has to do with, Scottie showing, his versatility and how good of a player he actually is. And some of that has to do with Jonathan Kuminga really not developing his game, quite like, other people thought he would. So what does Scottie do that really moved him up these draft boards, a few spots, and moved him ahead of someone like Jonathan Kuminga? Well, the big thing with Scottie Barnes is his versatility. The guy can, play almost all positions on the floor, especially defensively. He's a player who can switch everything. He competes really hard on that end of the floor. He can, like I said, switch 1 through 5. I would have no problem with him, guarding the other team's best guard in switch situations. And I think that in today's NBA, he can easily switch onto centers and hold his own, as he's got, a 6'8", 6'9" frame, long wingspan, great athlete, great build to him. He's going to put on some weight. And like I said, the big thing with him is he competes on that end of the floor. Offensively, his game is a work in progress in terms of he can't shoot the ball right now. He's going to have to start at, ground zero with that. But everything else about his game, it's hard not to love. He can, handle the ball for someone his size. He was listed as a point guard at Florida State. Now, I don't think he'll play point guard in the NBA. He'll play kind of that Draymond Green type role, I think, offensively, where he's making, plays, in transition or out of the short roll, things like that. But he can handle the ball for someone his size. He's a great passer for someone his size. And he does, all the little things offensively you want out of a player, whether it's, setting screens, initiating offense, rebounding the ball, whatever it is. He's just a super versatile player that fits today's NBA so well, offensively and defensively. If he can ever get his jump shot figured out, I think kind of the sky's the limit for him, because he's got just that kind of potential. And I think, worst case scenario, he's a player who you can plug in, have him be a great defender for you, and hopefully, he makes, the right plays offensively and doesn't cost you with his lack of ability to shoot the ball. And so then you compare, Scottie Barnes, who's risen in this year's draft, to someone like Jonathan Kuminga, who his game just really hasn't developed the way I think scouts thought it would over the year. Entering, like I said, the G League season that he had, he was, projected top 3 pick, easily, possibly number 1, as he was number 1 in his recruiting class before he reclassified. And now, like I said, scouts have, kind of began questioning his game and, wondering if he's ever going to really, truly reach the potential that he does have. Every time that I watched Jonathan Kuminga play, it was pretty disappointing, to say the least, whether it was in high school or in the G League. Every time I saw him play, he settled for a ton of bad jump shots, wasn't getting to the hoop as much as he should, because he is a big, physical, strong athlete, someone you want, but like I said, tended to settle for bad jump shots, contested jump shots, and never really ever physically imposed his will on the game. I think you wish he would. And so I think that's kind of the difference between the two. You got someone like Scottie Barnes, who I think even if the jump shot never comes around, you got someone who competes on both ends of the floor, is versatile, can do a lot of different things with the basketball, and doesn't need to be a scorer to be an effective player in the NBA today. Jonathan Kuminga, that is, I think, is the opposite. He needs to develop that offensive game. He needs to develop his jump shot. He needs to develop a better feel for the game and become, a good offensive player, because right now he doesn't compete on the defensive end of the floor the same way that someone like Scottie Barnes does. He doesn't have the same playmaking or ball handling ability that he does, and so that's someone like Scottie Barnes does. And so I think Jonathan Kuminga really needs to develop his offensive game to be an effective NBA player, and right now I'm not sure if he can. And so I'm really excited for this draft and to see where these guys ultimately end up getting picked, because I think it's two players who have very different skill sets, but I think they also have very similar ceilings in that they can kind of reach a similar level in the NBA if they do reach their potential. Like I said, it'll be in different ways, but I think they both have really high ceilings, and I think it's just going to come down to one, fit, how the player fits, where they get selected and how that team develops them. But I think it's also going to show a lot about them as individuals and how bad they want it, because I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. How bad do you want to be great? Obviously, like I said, certain things help, like fit, the team that drafts you, player development, things of that nature. But ultimately, you got to want it. And right now, I think Scottie Barnes has that. I think he wants to be great. I think he has that potential to be a really good, NBA player. Kuminga, on the other hand, I think that's kind of a question mark right now. How bad does he want to be great? How bad, does he want to get better? I think that's the question that he'll have to answer. And like I said, we'll find out draft night what NBA teams think, and we'll find out, 5-10 years from now, how their careers turn out, who ended up, working harder, who ended up being the better player. And so those are kind of just my thoughts on the two players. Scottie Barnes in general, really like his game. Kuminga, I think there's a lot of work there, and I'm not really seeing it. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys later.